Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into Morning in the Valley. I am Jeff Bidwell. Coming up in about 10 minutes, our guest of honor today, UIC women's basketball coach Ashleen Bracey, will join us, just finishing her third. I say just. We're 3 months in the rear view now. We're almost over the hump to getting more of last season in the rear view and next season on the way. But I guess we'll now say preparing for her fourth season as the head coach of the UIC Flames after Coach Bracey has led the Flames to back-to-back postseason appearances for the first time in the program's history. So we will talk about all of that with Coach Bracey coming up here in about 9 minutes now. It is Morning in the Valley. We are a year-round show about college basketball in the Missouri Valley Conference, but certainly need to tip our hat to the Murray State baseball program as Coach Dan Skirka and the Racers have advanced to the College World Series, first Missouri Valley Conference school since Missouri State way back in 2003, making it to Omaha. So a tremendous run through the Oxford Regional, a tremendous run through the Super Regional at Duke, taking 2 of 3 from the Blue Devils. And now they head to Omaha to open up play. They'll start Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock against UCLA. If you have not done so already, hope you would do it. Head over to YouTube, search out Morning in the Valley, and subscribe to us there. We've got all the past shows, all the interviews with the coaches, players, media members, chopped up into bits for you, little digestible pieces if you don't want to watch our entire program, but it would really help us out a lot if you head on over there and subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. That will help us out and continue to grow. All right, headlines of the morning today, and we've got scheduling news, and the scheduling news from yesterday. It was kind of fast and furious, one after another, coming for the Murray State Racers and the men as they are going to head to the greater Las Vegas area in December to take on the Akron Zips. John Rothstein from CBS Sports reporting that yesterday. The Racers and Akron, December the 13th in Henderson, Nevada at the Jack Jones Classic. That game, just a one-off neutral site game, but a very good game, I feel like, for the Racers. This is an Akron team that has been to the NCAA tournament 3 of the last 4 years. They were last year, ended up 91 in the net. They were 100 in the Ken Palm. And so, not a home game. Doesn't matter. You've got a top 100 team on your schedule, and you're going to have to go to Las Vegas to play it. But this is a very good game and a very good opportunity for the Racers to bolster that non-conference schedule. This is the same event Bradley played in last year when they went out there to play Santa Clara. Last year, there was 3 games with mid-major teams playing. At this point, all we know is Murray State and Akron. Don't know if anything else will be going on out there in the greater Vegas area December the 13th, but that is on the board for Murray State. We also had the matchups at the Cayman Islands Classic announced yesterday for the Racers. We knew they'd be playing Middle Tennessee State, McNeese, and George Washington. Now we know the order and the times of those games. It's a 3-game in 3-day event starting on Sunday, November the 23rd. It'll be Middle Tennessee State. Monday the 24th, they get McNeese. And then Tuesday, the 25th, it'll be George Washington. And that is the days leading up to Thanksgiving week down there in the Cayman Islands. So the Racers, from a non-conference standpoint, we went on the whole manifesto the other day about trying to put together the best non-conference schedule you can creatively, because it most likely is not going to involve Power 4 teams. And look, past results do not indicate future performance. So there is going to be some hope that what these teams have done in the past, they will be able to do this year from a metric standpoint. But when you look at, again, Akron was 91 in the net last year. Middle Tennessee was 105. McNeese, 58. George Washington, 124. You throw in a road game at SMU that was 46. That is setting up nicely for teams in that top 100 range. You expect probably McNeese going to take a step back a little bit. Will Wade's gone, new coach, new program, but with the momentum, you hope they can at least maintain that top 100 standing, and that will be able to help the Racers as they move forward. Big day in the NCAA with some rule changes. We've talked about these rule changes being discussed. Now we at least have some rule changes being announced and confirmed, starting on the men's side, as the main rule that has come out for the men is that we now have there's a couple things they're trying to do, and the main thing they're trying to do is streamline the end of games, speed things up, instead of having this just indefinite these 2-hour games going to 2:30 because you get to the final 2 minutes and everybody's doing this all the time. But we need to review, because we don't think the ball is off of us or whatever. So the rule that is being put in is that coaches can challenge any time in the game to question an out of bounds call, to question basket interference or goaltending, or to question if a secondary defender was inside the charge circle. You can challenge at any point during the game you want, as long as you have a timeout. If you have a timeout, you can challenge. If you're successful, you get another challenge down the road to use again in the game. If you're unsuccessful, you're done challenging. So that really cuts down to where everybody can get, one, hey, it's off of you, maybe two in the final couple of minutes, as opposed to the indefinite string we saw certainly in the last couple of years. Final 2 minutes, officials can still initiate reviews on the basket interference, but they cannot do it on out of bounds. That can only be done by a coach's challenge. So hopefully that will speed things up. The other rule that is going to be, I just see the contention in this rule and the complaining in this rule, because it is that there is a lot of gray area in it, and it is the continuation rule that we see in the NBA, where a guy can be dribbling and get fouled, and as long as he kind of continues into an act of shooting, they will count the bucket. In the NCAA, obviously, if you're not in the act when you are fouled, you do not get that continuation, and it is just a common foul. They are going to continuation. So it's going to change the game, and we're going to have to see how that really alters the game. And you're going to hear more complaining. No, that wasn't continuation. Yes, that should have been, and those types of things as teams try to work on this and get acclimated to it and get used to it. And the other part that's going to be interesting is sort of the do we foul up three at the end of games rule, where you can get guys that, as long as they're dribbling and somebody goes to grab them and then they can go into an act of shooting. I think that's might put the brakes, slam those brakes a little bit on the fouling up three at the end of games. That's going to be something we're going to have to watch. The NCAA, this is my favorite, and I've talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is my favorite wording ever. The NCAA committee, the rules committee, has recommended conferences create a working group to provide feedback on going to halves or quarters. So the committee wants another committee. Hopefully next year they will have a ruling there. In the women's game, the main thing now is we also have challenges coming at any time for out of bounds, backcourt violations, and so on. Teams don't need a timeout, but if the challenge is failed, that results in a technical foul for an excessive timeout. There's also going to be an experimental rule in exhibition games this year for video review challenges on any foul called on their team at any time during the game. So that's something they're going to work out during exhibitions. So that'll be something that if it goes into effect, wouldn't be till 26-27, but we'll at least get a sneak peek at it coming up here in the exhibition season in just 4 or 5 months away here. So time now to bring in our guest this morning. She is the head coach at the University. It's Illinois Chicago, but they're the UIC Flames, and she is Ashleen Bracey, and she is with us this morning. Coach, how are you today?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Glad you're with us while it's the topic of the morning. The rules changes. Let's, I guess, first just with the rule that we know is in with the challenge at any time about the out of bounds and all of that. How do you feel about that change to the game?
I mean, I love it. I mean, I'd imagine it'll slow down the game just a little bit, with all the reviews. But I think at the end of the day, we all work so hard. Why not get it right? And I think it gives us an opportunity to do that. So I'm excited about it. It'll be interesting. Obviously, big adjustment for us on it. But I think we've watched, the WNBA, the NBA, and enough leagues sort of manage it. And so I think it'll be really beneficial.
The experimental rule about we're going to challenge whether a foul happened or not. What do we think about that? Talk about slowing the game down potentially. What do you think about that one?
I definitely think depending on the coach, that could get out of hand, for sure. But again, I think, there's so many great coaches in it for the right reasons. And I think we're just trying to figure out ways to just continue to grow our game and make it better. And so I think doing it for exhibition games, I mean, there's no harm in it. And we'll see, sort of, where it takes us and then make a decision after that.
Let's put a bow on last year. It felt like in the league last year, it felt like there was a line in the sand, that you had this top 6 that were really good, and then there was a bottom 6 that were working to kind of figure things out. And then somewhere on the line, the top 6 became the top 7, and it was hello UIC and welcome to the party. You were Belmont and UIC, the only 2 teams to beat the co-champs Murray State and Missouri State last season. For the building process you guys have been going through, how important were those 2 wins over the Racers and Lady Bears to maybe not, for the program, for you as a staff, for you as your players to go get kind of the pat on the back of all this work we've been doing and all this building we've been doing? We're here.
Yeah. No, it was huge. I mean, for multiple reasons. For confidence, to your point of, we had a really tough non-con. Did not go the way that, truly any of us expected. Definitely, anticipated finishing above 500 coming out of non-con. And then just to open up the season, I believe we were at Drake, at UNI, at Belmont, at Murray. Again, another tough stretch. So your battle's tested. You're close in a lot of those games. But you're just not seeing it, end up on the right side of things. And then to just keep our team together and our chemistry together long enough to beat one of the top teams and one of the best teams that's been in the Valley for a long time, especially on the scoring end of things. It was huge for our team. I think also it gave, the WNIT committee some confidence in us that, we were a postseason team and we could compete against the best.
1 year in the postseason. Hey, that's a great step for the program. 2 years, now 3 years. And he's sort of the line at the end of the year was, look, this is the standard now. How much momentum, especially you lose 11 seniors and you're kind of having to start over again now with this. How much momentum can you take off those 3 years and roll into year 4 when there's not all those holdovers to go like, man, look at what we did back in March?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We're in an interesting time because so much has changed for us in the way we recruit, just with, being able to pay our players directly and all these things. So there's a lot of question marks around a lot of programs. I will tell you that the biggest advantage is being able to recruit to a winning culture. And that's not something I was able to do in year 1. And even year 2, there wasn't enough data behind us to show that we could really win. But I think now in doing it, 3 back-to-back years, first time in program history, I think that we've proven to high-level recruits that like we have a system here, and that this is a culture they can come and be a part of and be successful. I will tell you, we're playing in one heck of a tough league. With, to your point, top 6, top 7, a lot of really good coaches that are going to do the same thing we're going to do, and that's reload. And so, that's the big challenge. And now the question mark is, much like Rochelle at Murray State, how do you go from good to great? And that's the most difficult step to take. That margin of error is just so small.
Your program won 32 conference games in the 10 years before you got there, and you have won 29 in the last 3, 9 and 11, 10 and 10, 10 and 10. To your point, you have raised the floor here. What is the step for you? And I'm sure this is the $1 million question. What is the step to punch through that glass ceiling so you can contend and get to 15-5 and so on and be in the hunt there for a title?
Yeah. The right player. I think, and I have so much respect for Rochelle Turner. So I'll speak to her a little bit. Like, Caitlin Young is a high level NCAA star, not even just Missouri Valley. Like, and so you got to go out and you got to get the players that can put you on their back when it's winning time. I mean, I'm sure if you go through the last 3 seasons, you'll see a lot of, really close games that, if we would have been on the other side of, we'd be having a whole different conversation. I mean, we lost to Illinois State this past season at the free throw line with an opportunity to win it. So you need the right players in place that have that championship mentality, that they can put you on their back the last 3 minutes of a game. And I think, for some of the top teams in the league, that has been the difference.
When you walked in the door 3 years ago, again, a program that had struggled for the last decade or so, they won 19 games in the 5 years coming in. You flip it, you win 19 in year one. But as a first-time head coach, when you walk in the door, where do you start? You are on the ground floor and you're trying to build this high-rise tower, but where do you start with no real firsthand, I'm the leader of this program experience to lean back on?
Yeah, so I've been so fortunate enough to be a part of a couple rebuilds as an assistant. And so I've, been, hand in hand with the head coaches, really trying to turn around programs. And so I really felt like I had the upper hand in that sense. I think when it comes to, where did I put my focus? I think a couple things that I did really, really well would be I focused on the main things. There's so many things that you can get caught up in. And the reality of it is you don't have the time or the resources to make, a ton of different areas great. So the couple areas would have been hiring really good coaches that I felt like really, had a similar sense of purpose when it comes to coaching and really wanted to impact young people and pour into them and, didn't have egos and just could really help me build my culture. The second thing would have been recruiting good kids that believed in me and our culture. And then the third piece would just be getting my team to play really, really hard.
What was the biggest surprise as a head coach of, look, we've all, whatever walk of life we're in, you get that job and you're like, I got all the answers. And you walk in and it's like, oh, as prepared as I thought I was, this caught me by surprise. What was that thing for you?
I'm gonna give you two. One would be, as much as I spoke about getting the right people on the bus and hiring a great staff, it is really difficult to manage adults. It's a hell of a lot easier to manage, 18 to 22-year-olds than it is adults. So I would say the management aspect of that, we've really ended up getting it right. For the first time in my 3 years, we have the entire staff coming back. So that's been wonderful and will just allow us to just have some camaraderie going into next season. The second piece, and it really took me by surprise in this past season, is that it's not necessarily about how good your team is. It's about how good the league that you're playing in is. Yeah. In returning my entire roster this past year, I had a very high expectation to be in the top, 4 of the league. What I didn't take into account is that everybody returned their rosters. And so everyone got better. And I think that was, probably the biggest lesson that I learned out of my last season.
You played at Illinois State. You graduated with a criminal justice sciences degree. What was the plan for that? My mom had a criminal justice degree, which really in the end just allowed her to sift through my brother and I's crap. And, we can get away with anything in the house. Like, so what was the plan with that? And how are we using criminal justice sciences today as a head coach, if even just the smallest bit?
Yeah. So I'm just like, kind of an investigator at heart. Like I love people. I love figuring things out. I never wanted to get into coaching. To be honest with you, I didn't decide I was going to get into coaching until I think we played DePaul my senior season at Illinois State. And I just had that aha moment of, man, like I need to stay involved in this. But so I think just that I like, figuring things out. I wanted to, be an FBI agent, detective, that whole thing. But how do I use it now? I think just like trying to understand people. And I think there's a lot of that. And I took a lot of classes on the psychology side of criminal justice when I was at Illinois State. And I think that's one of my strong suits as a coach, just like understanding people, why they do what they do, and trying to help them be successful.
And all joking aside, I have to imagine it comes in helpful when you're recruiting, trying to figure these people out.
It truly does. That's a really big key, Jeff, just understanding who you're bringing into your program. So for sure it does. It's funny because, and I'll say this quick, Robin Pinchton, the head coach at the University of Wisconsin now, she's one of my biggest mentors. And, when I did decide that I wanted to take that jump into college coaching, it was truly because of the impact that she had on me as a player and the life-changing moments that I was able to experience. And I wanted to, give other young people an opportunity to do that in my own program. So shout out to her.
What was the biggest difference in playing for Robin Pinchton and working for Robin Pinchton?
Zero difference.
Really?
She is who she is. She's gonna demand the absolute best out of you every single day, no matter if you play for or you're a staff member. And that's what I love about her, and that's really what I've carried over. Now she does so in a very loving way, but she has a high standard, and she's gonna, require you to meet it.
What's it like coaching in essentially your hometown?
It's amazing. I mean, that's something I can honestly say I've never done. I went to Illinois State, that's 2 hours away, had some stints at Mizzou, UAB, Ball State. I've never, since high school played basketball in a space where all of my village was. And so to have, my mom be at every home game sitting courtside, and to have my families, my nieces and nephews, friends and families just come out and support, and be a part of every aspect of our program is truly special and full circle for me.
You lose 11 seniors, and I said sort of it's year 4. I guess you could say it's year 1, except the program's in a whole lot better shape than it was 3 years ago. What was, if my math is right, at least from what you guys have posted, 5 out of the portal. You signed some high school kids coming in. What was the plan when the season ended of, okay, we got to reload and get this thing back rolling?
Yeah. I think one, you can't do it all in the portal as much as you'd like to. It doesn't work that way. And so we really, tried to get a nice, sound group of high school kids. We felt like we could develop kids that would be committed to staying here for 4 years. We did that early. We got a little bit of a surprise in a returner in Sarah Zabrecki. She was out last season with an injury, and so ended up getting that red shirt back. So we actually did sign a shooter to replace her early. But again, she's coming back, so that'll be even more firepower. And then out of the portal, it was, replace direct statistics. We needed people that could score. We needed people that could rebound. We needed people with experience. And, the beautiful thing, Jeff, is we've done that every year that we've been here. We've had to recruit the portal to survive. And so nothing really changed there. The big adjustment was the fact that you got to, figure out how to pay them.
It is the new way. In terms of personality of your team, the one thing, and the game that I probably watched all 40 minutes of as closely as any was the game at your place when you beat Murray State. And the part that just stood out was just how big and strong and physical your kids were. And I feel like at times, with a league can have a personality, and it's like, all right, we've got to recruit to the personality of the league.
Yeah.
Is that the personality of, regardless of the league, is that what you want? I mean, maybe not, hey, sprinters on the outside and lean, and we just want to overpower you.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say that was the plan. That's what it, transpired into. Another big reason I think that, going back to one of your earlier questions was like, why were you successful, is because I didn't try and make it my mold. I fit the mold that I could get. And one of the areas that I think we had a lot of success out of the portal was getting like BCS, Big East level players that wanted to come back home to Chicago. And you just can't turn that down, And so we sort of molded our system into, what we could get out of the portal. And that's kind of how we landed there. Now, I do think that you'll see our system shift a little bit. I come from a motion background. I come from a background that is similar to the mold of the Valley, shooters, those type of things. And so that has been something that we've been intentional about recruiting in the portal.
You talked earlier about your non-conference last year, 3-6, and the record was disappointing, but to see, a Cincinnati and a Wisconsin and a DePaul and LSU coming into your building, was there at least I may be reaching for a silver lining here, but look, we can schedule this, and we have built this thing now where we might get beat, but we're okay. We can pull the positives out of this, and this isn't just going to, man, we're 3-6 and we are devastated, and because we just lost all our confidence trying to get into conference play.
Yeah, absolutely. There were moments, there were moments of frustration with such a senior heavy team of just like, this was our year, coach, type thing, to just really do something special. But I think that me and my staff are really good at, putting that care to hope out there and helping them understand that like the whole purpose of this is to prepare us for league play. And I do think that we were as prepared as we have been in a long time for league play, which is going to always be our goal. And our league, if we want to, help the Valley be a two-bid league, like we have to continue to put ourselves out there and play these tough games. We can't play it safe and just come out of non-con, winning all 12. It's just not going to help the league. And so, that's something that's always a priority for me. Schedule decently tough. Obviously, you want to come out of non-con 500, but I'm going to continue to do that.
Anybody on the board yet you can share for this year?
Yeah, for sure. We have DePaul coming here. We have Wisconsin coming here. And I thought we had another big one. And then we're going to Indiana. So those would be sort of the big three, looking to add one more tough game.
It's so different, the women's game and the men's game, because LSU's never coming to play at UIC on the men's side, and Wisconsin never coming ever. How, as a coach, just for the players, just how much does that just amplify the whole experience for everybody? That a top, LSU number 5 in the country, Kim Mulkey, the whole thing is rolling into your barn, and you got a chance to beat them in front of your folks.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience, top to bottom. I mean, just the crowd set a record-breaking crowd, which was huge. The handshake, or Kim Mulkey coming out of the locker room to shake everybody's hand. Just the energy that was around that game was tremendous. Our girls, our young ladies, they competed in it. But I think could all, report back that they had an incredible experience.
That's awesome. All right. Well, my last question, I guess 2-part. When are we getting on the floor and starting summer workouts? Have we begun yet, or are we soon?
So we start Monday, June 16th.
All right. So it's almost there. Question 1B, what are you doing here the next 5 days to try to any relaxation at all before we get fired up Monday?
No, now we are back in the grind of things, just getting ready for the young ladies to come. So we did get quite a bit of time off early May. So now we're back in the office and, getting organized, getting ready for them to come so we can start building.
What is your
building to do?
Well, that's all right. A lot of people do it this time. What is your favorite part of these next 4 months of the on the court, off the court, whatever it may be, just getting you ready before that first official practice in Lindsay?
I would say just like, becoming a team. We're bringing in 9 new people. And so how do you put them in positions to grow in their relationships, to challenge each other on the court, to come into their own, to fill roles, to accept roles? It's a big puzzle. And, I think that's what I love about it, the most. And I will say these 4 months are important, but, there's a lot of shifting that happens from November through March too, and a lot of coming into your own. So, the entire process is really special to me. I really enjoy what we do and the opportunity to help young ladies just become really successful leaders.
She is Ashleen Bracey, the head coach at UIC. Thank you so much. Enjoy. There's no downtime. I know there's not, but hopefully you get a couple minutes here and there. But good luck this summer, and hopefully we can talk soon.
Thank you, Jeff. I love what you're doing there.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. There is Coach Bracey, and I'm telling you, and again, from the Murray State prism last year, and we talked about that top 6 versus the bottom 6. And there was a point last year, and I think at the end of the season, whatever the record might have ended up, the top 6 against the bottom 6 were something like 70-2. The numbers were like the bottom 6 just didn't beat the top 6 outside of UIC that beat Missouri State and beat Murray State. And they were just a matchup problem for teams with their physicality and so on. And she had done such a good job to build that thing to where it was. And when you saw, when the brackets were starting to formulate there in the final week or so of the season, and I'm just thinking from a Murray State perspective, UIC is going to be the 7th seed. You did not want to be the 2 for any reason whatsoever and worry about we're going to have to play them. And because they were going to be a nightmare for somebody, and they did a heck of a job. And so again, losing 11 seniors, but she has done a fantastic job. Again, to see that program to win 32 conference games in 10 years total, and the last 3 years to win 29, she has got that thing turned around up there in Chicago. And so appreciate Coach Bracey coming on this morning. All right, some other news and notes from the morning. One recruiting piece of news from Bradley and the women's side of things, as head coach Kate Popovic-Goss, a late high school signing here for the class of 2025. She has signed Callie Fortson, 6-foot forward out of Princeton High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. Played in a good high school team, 7 rebounds, 7 points a game. But she is a big, strong forward, and certainly you're going to build on you're going to bank on the physical pedigree with Callie there, and be able to help that Bradley program moving forward. Across the hall on the men's side, some news that certainly raised some eyebrows a little bit, just from a standpoint of we haven't even really gotten things going yet this summer. And it was 2 months ago. That guy, Meyer Wall, had signed with Bradley. He had come from Eastern Kentucky. He was the 6th man of the year in the Atlantic Sun. He is no longer with the Bradley Braves, as Dave Aminian from the Peoria Journal-Star reporting that Brian Wardle said they have mutually agreed to go their separate ways, and no other reason was given. But Wall no longer with that Bradley program. Again, averaged about 9 points, 5 rebounds a game. Had a cup of coffee with College of Charleston as a freshman, transferred to Eastern Kentucky last year, was going to Bradley for his 3rd school in 3 years, but barely. I'm not even sure they've started summer workouts at Bradley yet, but he is no longer with the program. The quote was, both parties decided to part ways, and we wish him the best. So that is the forward-facing line there from Coach Wardle. And again, no other details provided. Open scholarship now. They have one at Bradley, but Brian Wardle saying as of today, telling Dave Aminian from the Peoria Journal-Star that as of today, they do not intend on filling that for this season. But you've got one. So stranger things have happened. We'll see what happens there with Coach Wardle. And one other piece of news from a staffing standpoint, John Rothstein also reporting that Indiana State head coach Matthew Graves has hired Byron Jones, the former Texas assistant, to join his staff. Jones had been on staff at Texas for 2 years, part of Rodney Terry's staff that was let go back in March. A long time assistant coach, 26 years of experience. The last 15, he's been at Fresno State, Air Force, Troy, Texas. Now he's coming up the road to Texas A&M. All right, I think that does it this morning for today's edition of Morning in the Valley. Glad you have been with us today. Again, if you haven't done so already, please head to YouTube and search out Morning in the Valley. Subscribe to our page. You'll get the little notification bell every time we go live, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. You'll also get clips. We'll break down the interviews. If you missed any of Coach Bracey today, the whole show will be there, or you can check out clips of that moving forward as well. I believe everything is all set for Friday, and we will be with you Friday morning in my Murray State duties. I am headed to Omaha to call the College World Series, so I believe I'm going to depart after we had the show Friday. So all systems should be go, barring anything unforeseen. All systems will be go, and I'll be back here 9 a.m. Friday morning, wherever you're watching us, over on X, Facebook, or YouTube. All right, that does it for this morning. As always, thanks for watching. Tell your friends about us. 9 o'clock Friday morning, we'll be back right here on Morning